Now then, welcome to the first class of 2023. So it might have been a while, but we still know what to do. Got a mat under us. That's good. If you would like a bit of support, for example, for sitting, block could be nice to have. Other than that, you don't need anything else, but maybe a blanket, a cushion, something for relaxation. Let us start lying down on the backs, making your way there. And as usual, please, just a little reminder in that first class of the year that when we come to the mat, we're actually taking care of ourselves. And that might especially be the case online. So when you are ready lying yourself down, you might choose to close your eyes. If that is uncomfortable for you to have the eyes closed while you're lying down, you may instead steady your gaze towards the ceiling. Your knees can be bent, your legs could be out long, whichever is more comfortable for you. I'd ask you to then do something with your hands, which is called Pali Mudra. I might show you in case you need the visual. So on each hand, we will touch the tips of the thumb as well as the ring finger together. And then we're taking our middle finger and wrapping that over the index finger. So that looks a little bit like a nod with these fingers and the others are touching. We'll do that on each hand. And if that's possible, allowing the arms to fall away from the body. Maintaining ease around the shoulders. As you start to feel into the sensations in your hands, notice what comes up for you. Just a quick analyzing of our own energies. Sometimes it is just the sensations of how the fingers are positioned, and sometimes we can sense a little bit more. We will explore this mudra a fair bit this class, simply because it also assists with twisting. And that is what we mainly practice, the twists and turns. So in this position here, allowing yourself to deepen your breath. Feel the breath expanding down into the abdomen. Open gently through the lower ribs. And then lift the breath up to the collarbones. When you're exhaling, let the belly fall in, the ribs release, and the upper chest relaxing. And then continue like that, breathing in from belly to ribs to collarbones. And out from belly to ribs to collarbones, and establishing your own pace of breathing. Now that you know where to place your breath, how to flow it through the body, establishing your own length with ease and yet filling, nourishing. While you may then continue to breathe this way, if your legs are out long, please bring the knees to a bend. If your knees are bent, please separate them, maybe shorten the distance between the feet a little. And leaving the arms out there slowly as you're exhaling, letting the knees roll a little to one side. Then inhale, draw them to the center. And exhale, let the knees roll gently to the other side. And then continuing that, aligning with the flow of your breath and exploration of the first twists and turns. As we practice our twisting this morning, and please keep letting your knees roll from side to side. And you may also bring in a rolling movement of your head. Think about all the twists and turns that we are experiencing in our lives. When we imagine where our life is going, it's oftentimes quite straightforward. And yet on the way there is so many twists and turns, the little challenges or events in our life that make us take that tiny little detour. Sometimes they seem like very big challenges too. So today's practice is there to learn about those little turns and challenges that lie on the way and still keep flowing, and maybe even with ease through your life. When you've completed your next round of rolling side to side, please center yourself. You may also momentarily release the mudra of your fingers and give the fingers some movement, wiggles, squeezes. And from here, please bring both knees loosely over your chest. And then placing one hand on top of each kneecap. On your next inhalation, extend your arms, and with that guide the knees over the hips. And with your exhalation, squeezing the knees up to the chest. Apanasana on the inhale, extending the arms. On the exhale, squeezing the knees in. Inhaling as we bring the knees away. Exhaling to draw them in. You may continue just like that. A lovely version to release a bit from the lower back, tummy area. Or you could, on an out breath, lift your nose up towards the knees, getting more involved in the core strength, as well as mobilization of the spine. As usual in this practice, I will give you options, so please feel free to change around as is required by your body. Our last round here. And as you come to lie back, take an interlace of the fingers and wrap them around your right knee, hugging that in. You might choose to place your left foot down onto the ground, extend the left leg out long, or let it hover above the mat. And as you breathe out, hugging the knee into the chest, you may also lift your nose towards the knee. While you breathe in, let the hug go a little. With the out breath, hug the knee in, or even lift your nose to the knee. Let's do a couple more here. Once you've completed, either left foot to the ground or left leg to the floor. Right leg, let that extend towards the ceiling. Take a hold behind the leg. Gently flex the right foot. And when the out breath comes, draw the straight leg up towards your body, aiming to keep your shoulders and elbows here at reasonable ease. Maybe there's sensations here of length or stiffness, whatever comes first. As you release the flexion of the foot, point your toes up to the ceiling. Take a breath in and let your arms drift back out to the sides, either long or cactus arms. If it is right for you to practice Pali Mudra, touch your thumbs to your ring finger and wrap your middle finger back over the index finger while you leave your arms out there. On the next out breath, swinging your straight leg across the body as much as is comfortable for you or doable. As you inhale, roll onto your back, the toes pointing to the ceiling. With your out breath, swing the leg across the body. Inhaling as you roll back. Exhaling as you bring it across. Going for a couple more. And then holding the leg across. Now for some, the foot might touch the ground. Some might prefer to bend the knee. Some might allow the leg to float here because the floor is just a little bit too far away and might lift the shoulders up. So finding your place within this hold. Allowing now a deeper twist. Let's all bring a bend into the knee that we brought across. Rolling onto the back, placing the foot down onto the ground. If this is how you were practicing on the other side, leave the foot there. If you had your leg extended, let your knee fall out to the side. And then let your leg slide out long. We will release Pali Mudra and wiggle the fingers. Before bringing the left knee up towards the chest and an interlace of the hands to hug the knee in. Now please make the choices on this side. Foot to the ground, leg to the floor, or leaving the straight leg hovering off the ground. On an outburst, draw the knee in, but maybe also lift your nose to the knee. As you inhale, lean or lie back. Breath out, draw in and hug the nose up if you like. Inhale, move back. 2 more. And as you complete it, lie all the way down or right foot to the floor. Release your interlace, extend the leg up, take a hold behind the leg instead, and flexing the foot. Letting elbows, shoulders stay soft, and on an outburst, drawing the straight leg in towards you. And holding here, exploring where you're feeling tight. That might be one of the twists that the body is coming up with, or how you may feel an extension here. Then release the flexion of the foot and point your toes upwards. Let go of the leg and let your arms drift back out to cactus or extend it. The same here, choice to attempt Pali Mudra, thumb to ring finger, middle finger wrapping over the index finger. And as you are breathing out, swing the leg across the body. On the inhale, roll onto your back, point the toes upward. Exhaling, swing the leg across. Inhaling, pointing toes to the ceiling. Couple more. And with the last one, as the leg swings across, we will hold here. You may leave the leg long rested against the wall, the floor. Or you may also choose to bend the knee. Maybe the knee is resting down somewhere. Maybe that is floating. Don't worry too much where you're at. Just feeling into the sensations of the posture while taking care of yourself. That allowance of a deeper twist, whatever that means for everybody. You will then bend the top knee, roll back onto your back, stepping the foot down. And if you had your leg extended, roll your knee outwards and then slide the leg out long. Again, please release the mudra and you may move your fingers. Before you bring both knees into the chest and give them a good squeeze in again. It's a choice of rocking from side to side. And that rocking may or may not bring you into a seated position by rolling over onto your side or by rocking forwards and backwards. As we come up to sit, I will use a block to support my seat, just popping that underneath. And then placing the legs for an easy pose. So if that's available to you, one leg is in front of the other. If that's unsuitable, please sit in a shape that is easy for you. Allow the hands to come and rest and turn the palms of the hands upwards. So we will explore Pali Mudra again, the thumbs to the ring, the middle over the index finger. As you take your next inhalation, reach the arms up. On the exhalation, turn in the direction of your front leg. Release your hands behind and front against the point of resistance, whether that is a leg or the floor. Hold yourself here, ground through the sitting bones, and maybe noticing that this twist is moving a lot further up the spine than the previous one lying down on the back. On the next inhalation, raise the arms and center yourself. On the exhale, repeat the same on the other side. Find a place to rest a hand where you can gain some resistance to help you with the twist, no matter whether that's a leg or the floor or which leg. Allow your gaze to be externally or internally steady as you explore your movement to the other side. On your next inhalation, reaching both arms back up. On the out breath, release the hands just gently down. So you've got a chance, if you are in an easy pose, to change the cross of your legs. Then lift the arms out to cactus arms. My shoulder is not ideal, so I keep my elbows a little bit lower. If you would like to, you can place your elbows almost in line with your shoulders, if that suits. We're holding the mudra, but the palms are kind of facing forward here. On an inhalation now, turning to the left. On an exhalation, turning to the right. And that's all for now. Inhaling, turning left. Exhaling, turning right. Keep that flowing for a little while. Let this be guided by your breath, but don't get hung up on the pace of the breath in that case. Rather adjusting the length of your breath to your choice of pace in movement here. The movement here could be a lot faster if that is right for your body. So keep this flowing for a few more, whether you're moving fast or slow, up to you. Then come into the center. Release the hands back down. Rest the backs of the hands with the mudra onto your thighs, onto your knees. Close your eyes again or steady your gaze. And feel. There might be quite some energy movement through the body now. There might be more sensations around your middle. Unwind the knot of your fingers. And if that feels good, have a wiggle of the fingers. Then remove that you have been sitting on. I might keep that by the side. And you might do the same, keeping it by the side of the mat. And as we come into a different seated position, placing your feet out in front and taking your fingertips slightly down behind you. Create a bit of length, coming through the spine. And with that, a light engagement of your core muscles. There's the option of lifting the heels away from the mat. On an exhalation, let one knee roll out to the side and even look over to that side. On the inhale, bring the knee back up. As you breathe out, drop the knee to the other, looking over. Inhaling, center. Exhaling, a light twist here. Inhaling, center. Exhaling, opening to the other side. If you feel quite confident with this, you may continue. Or you could choose to do a similar movement, but raise your feet away from the mat. When you're opening here, please squeeze the knees also up to the body. Then close the knees on the inhale, open and squeeze it up. And you might do a few more here. The big toes might stay together. The knees are squeezing in if you've chosen to lift your feet, or you keep dropping the knee out towards the side. From there, release the feet or swing your knees over and find your way up into a standing position. As we come up into standing, please align the outer edges of your feet with each other. So when you're standing, you can be at about hip distance apart in the feet, or you could have your big toes together. I personally prefer a bit of a wider stance, bringing me more stability. Now, we'll be asking you to stand at the short edge of the mat with this alignment. And lift yourself up tall and proud by grounding down through the heels and placing the weight to either side of the ball of each foot. Finding the length here, you might open the palms of the hands to face forward if that works for you. Here's one more opportunity to bring the hands into Pali Mudra by placing thumbs to ring finger and wrapping middle finger over index finger. Then bringing your elbows back into bend as you stand here tall. Now, please hold your strong stance, even activate your glutes, your lower tummy muscles a little so your hips remain facing forward. While again, you will inhale to turn to your left, a slower movement this time, and exhale to turn to the right. Leaving yourself standing so strong that with each little movement of the spine, you're actually feeling the feet actively grounding into the mat. And with that, we keep our pelvis facing forward. So besides the twists and turns in our lives, of course, this is very beneficial practice for our spine, but as well as for our internal organs, particularly around the abdomen. When you completed your rounds and you come into the center, releasing the mudra and taking a breath in to reach the arms up. As you are exhaling, turning towards the right, and let your hands then come all the way down the right side of the body. You can leave them on the side of the leg or towards the outside edge of the foot. When you then inhale, let the hands slide up the side of the leg and lengthen your spine out in that direction. So while we were standing here, release the hands back down to the outside of your foot. Then place this very foot back into a deep lunge. Now ground the knee down and untuck the toes. Please keep the front foot grounded, the knee over the ankle joint, and walk your hands over into the open space. Just resting here on the fingertips, but starting to lower the upper body between your arms. So we've got a kneeling lunge here, but the weight is reaching across while we stand firmly on the back knee and the front foot, The spine gets a sensation as if we were already in a downward facing dog. By resting on the fingertips, you might gain that little bit of extra length. You can slide the hands further in to assist you, or you may reach your arms over and then upwards and realigning yourself over the mat in a kneeling lunge. Taking a breath in to lift the fingers more. And then a breath out as you place your hands down and step your knee back, so we're ending on all fours. 3 rounds here of cat and cow on the inhale, lifting tail and gaze. On the out breath, rounding deeply into the cat. Go for 2 more, just cat and cow posture. Simple movement now through the spine. And on the last one, you could choose to hold yourself rounded. It's okay to keep the knees on the mat, but if it suits, you could lift the knees now and find a downward facing dog. If you took the down dog, you might choose to paddle out through the legs. If you have chosen to stay on all fours, you might instead find a free moving cat position, aiming for a similar thing that you would in a downward facing dog. And then start to walk your feet towards the front end of your mat, where we finish in a forward fold. Let that be more of a ragdoll position, where the knees are bent, the belly is hanging on the thighs, and the spine is lengthening through gravity. Then an out breath and roll your spine up into standing. Take a breath in and reach your arms up. And a breath out to touch the hands down in front of the chest. Allow yourself to check back in with the positioning of your feet, allowing the outer edges to be parallel once more. On the inhalation, then stretch your arms up, ground your feet. On the exhale, turn to your left and let the hands come down the outside of the leg, reaching potentially to the outer edge of the foot. Then slide the hands a bit up the side of the leg again and extend your spine out in that direction, like a half lift only twisted. Now release your fingertips down to the outside edge of the foot, and then take that very foot all the way back down the mat, lowering the knee down, untucking the toes. The same here, we want the knee over the ankle joint and the foot grounded before maybe walking the hands to the open space. Do the same here, please stay on your fingertips and aim to lower the head between the arms. So the foot is grounding you, the knee is grounding you, the fingers are helping, but there's not much weight in those. Your arms are extended, and so is maybe your spine. Whether you slide your fingers back or you're lifting up from here is up to you as you take an inhalation, raising the arms and at the same time realigning your body with the mat. On an out breath, land the hands back down to the floor, and you might then bring your knee back and repeat 3 rounds cat and cow on the inhale to lift tail and gaze. On the out breath into the cat, you're rounded back. Repeating for 2. And holding the last one. You may, of course, stay on the knees, go back into your moving, wiggly cat, or you could lift the knees off the mat and wiggle the dog. Up to you which one you are moving or remaining in. And the same suggestion here, Walking the feet towards the front side of the mat. Allowing another ragdoll, just hanging down. Spine is lengthening while the body is fully supported by the legs. On an out breath, rounding your spine back up into standing. Lifting the arms as you take an inhale, and then drawing the hands down to touch back into heart center on the exhale. We will bring a little change in. On the inhalation, lifting your right knee and the arms are coming up. Then step your foot, just the ball of it, leave the heel off the ground behind the leg. And a standing squat as you're breathing out to sink into the position, hands to the heart. On the next inhale, then grounding both feet down, extending the whole body again upwards. And as you soften the knees, take the hands down the midline and fold towards the front side of the mat with the legs in a twist. As I said, the knees might be bent here, and you're allowing your nose to come towards the knees. And just holding here, kind of feeling into the weirdness of this forward fold. You might notice different stretches here all along. Then come up onto your fingertips and aim to lengthen your spine forward. This is why I left a block here. If your arms feel too short, please use the block in front of you instead to support you. Now take the right leg from behind and extend that one backwards over the mat. Take a deep breath. And then on the out breath, landing your right foot down. Now, while you might land your foot down, you could also lower the knee down instead, or bring the heel now to the floor. So either heel down or knee again down to repeat the posture. If you stay on your feet, we'll do the same thing again. Just walking the hands into the open space. Remain careful here with the front knee. If that has a tendency to drop in and you would prefer to allow that, turn the toes a little bit inwards too, so the knee joint stays healthy. Lifting back onto the fingertips, finding the length in your spine. As you inhale, reach the arms all the way up, rising to stand. Lift the heel away from the ground. You can place your knee down, which will be my preference, or leaving it off the floor. And placing your elbow now on top of the thigh or towards the outside of your knee, pressing palms together to create a twist. As you hold your twist, there might be a pressure of elbow and knee against each other. Now release your hands to the mat. You could come back onto all fours or have the knee off the ground and step it into downward dog. We will join back together as we inhale, rolling forward into a plank or a kneeling plank. And with your out breath, releasing down onto the front of your body. Resting the forehead down, placing the tops of the feet firmly into the mat. And then let your arms drift a little bit outward. So your elbows are wide. And while your forehead is resting down, your thumbs are in line with your eyes. As you press down to the tops of the feet, the knees might rise a little bit off the mat. Now press into your hands. Take a lift as you inhale off your upper body and draw the elbows down to be placed underneath the shoulders. Keep grounding through your feet and lift your sternum forward so your shoulders are at ease. If this is sustainable for you, you can stay here Otherwise, lowering yourself a little. And there's an option here on your out breath to look down one side of the body to create another twist. On the inhale, we're lifting the heart forward. On the exhale, turning maybe to the other side. If you enjoy the twists, repeat them twice more to each side. Take your time. A long, slow breath is your guide for the pace. When you then come forward, lift your heart once more. Before on and out breath, the elbows will spread out. You might stack your hands. You might rest the forehead down. You could choose to touch your big toes and let your heels roll out. I find that's a lovely release for the lower back after the swings. And you might even allow a little wiggle into the pelvis. As you find yourself restful here in the crocodile pose, taking 2 full deep yogi breaths as you expand your breaths all the way into the back and the side body, to belly, ribs, to collarbones for 2 rounds. When you complete it, you may, of course, continue your breathing, but then sliding your hands back underneath the shoulders and separating the feet again. On the inhale now, come up onto all fours, and it is your choice to just stay there basically, or you can tuck the toes under and raise the knees for a downward facing dog. I will now demonstrate your next movement from all fours, but both positions are very doable. We will extend the right leg back, so please have a look first before you engage in this shape or movement. And on the out breath, then take your knee towards the opposite elbow. When you're inhaling, swing the knee open and then tap your toes behind. And similarly to the squat, we're squeezing the hips backwards. On the inhale, then lengthen the leg in your dog or cat position. And breath out, knee to the opposite elbow. Inhaling open, then tap and squeeze back. So I'll give you time for 3 rounds if you choose to do so many. Starting by lifting the right leg as you breathe in. Then drawing the right knee on the out breath to the opposite elbow. On the inhale, extend the leg or open it. On the out breath, tap the foot down and squeeze your hips back. Inhaling, lengthen. Exhaling, opposite elbow. Inhaling, open. Touch the toes down and squeeze the hips back. 1 more round. Take a breath to extend your leg. Exhale, knee to the opposite elbow. Inhaling to open the knee. And exhale to tap the toes down and squeeze the hips back. When you then inhale, lengthen the whole leg again. But on your out breath now, help or step the right foot forward in between the hands. Come to ground your back foot to the mat and touch the palms of your hands together on the inside of your front leg. Now lengthen the leg and reach your spine forward. Then breathe in and let your left arm extend upward, finding a triangle shape. And we will pause in that triangle. As we extend through the legs, mindful that the knees are maintaining a micro bend, that the lower side of the waist is lengthened just as much as the upper, finding a pace of breaths and a steady gaze point, wherever that might be for your neck. Trikonasana. Then soften both knees, bring the hands down either side, raise the heel and step the foot into your ragdoll position, just hanging down here. On an out breath, start rolling up through your spine. Raise your shoulders and give them a little shrug, turning the hands forward. So back in our mountain pose, the feet are aligned and the stance is strong. On the next inhalation, now lifting your arms and the left knee comes up. As you bring the hands to the heart, step the foot lightly behind, lift the heel off the ground, bend your knees, hands to heart and a squat. Now ground your feet while you're extending the whole body again, inhaling. And as you breathe out, folding towards the front side of the mat. So straight in front of your twisted legs, lowering your nose down towards the knee. Feeling into the twisted legs, make sure that the knees are soft, especially if the floor is far away. To rise to your fingertips, you may choose again a block in front of you. Find some length in your spine and then start to peel the back foot away from the mat, swinging the leg as an extension over the mat, lengthening from spine to toes. And as you breathe out, you might lower the whole foot down or ground your knee down to the mat. Front knee is over the ankle, but you might draw the hands into the open space. And again, just lower the upper body between the arms. Now the trick here is to feel a lengthening of the spine like you do in a downward facing dog, while at the same time, your feet are deeply grounded into your mat. As you inhale, you may reach your arms all the way forward and up. Maybe raising the back heel. If you like to keep the knee off the floor, that's fine. But you could also lower it as you enter a twist. Your elbow could be placed to the thigh or the outside of the knee. Now, if it's the second, bring a bit of pressure between those two for our twist. Allowing the legs to support and the spine to turn. Then release your hands to the mat and either step to all fours or a downward facing dog. On a breath in now, roll the spine forwards, returning into a plank or a kneeling plank. On the out breath, lower down onto the front of your body, resting the forehead down. If you enjoyed the twisty swings, you could come back to that. Alternatively, now the hands are staying underneath the shoulders. The same setup for the legs as you move down into the tops of the feet. We will lift the upper body if you're coming with me just a little, and maybe the hands are coming off the ground. And as you breathe out, instead of looking down, squeeze down one side as you exhale. And then inhale, coming to center, and exhaling, squeezing down the other side. Now you may repeat that twice more to each side, just squeezing down the sides of the body. And once you have completed that, on the following out breaths, releasing the forehead down. Slide your hands back underneath the forehead. Mindful if you can remember that the other hand is on top. You may again touch your big toes, let the heels roll out, find wiggles around or ripples up the spine to release from any internal challenge, tightness or tension. Staying here for 2 full yogi breaths where you're expanding even down into the mat. When you complete it, separate your feet back into hip distance. Place the hands again underneath your shoulders And take an inhale to return onto all fours, where you may stay or draw the toes under and come into downward facing dog. Now I've demonstrated more or less extensively on the other side, but we'll repeat the movement here. With the inhale, extending the left leg back now. With the out breath, draw your left knee to the opposite elbow. Then open the knee as you inhale, tap the toes behind and squeeze your hips back. Inhaling, lengthening the leg. Exhaling, knee to the opposite elbow. Inhaling, open, tap the toes, breath out to squeeze back. Just one more round. Inhale, finding your length. Out breath, knee to the opposite elbow. Inhale, swing it open, and out breath to squeeze back. Inhale again to lengthen your leg. And with your out breath, then bringing your foot or helping the foot forward in between your hands. Back knee can be on the floor, or you may ground your whole foot down. No matter what, front knee again over ankle. And you might explore walking your hands to the open space, lowering your head between the arms. And while you're deeply grounding through both of your feet, thinking warrior 2 here, the upper body is in a down dog. You can slide your hands back or lift the arms all the way up. Turning. And releasing the hand down. Now shorten your stance a little, touch the palms of the hands, lengthen your legs, lengthening the spine forward. And as you next inhale, let your arm extend upwards and find a triangle posture. Find length coming through the sides of the body, opening the arms, micro bends in the knees, and a deep sense of support from your feet. And then release your whole posture. Grounding down into a seated position. And extending the legs out at the front. You might choose to pop the block back underneath your sitting bones, or you could choose to roll up the end of your mat and find yourself in a seated position there. Finding extra length through your spine. Bending both knees deeply and flexing the feet. On an exhale, lean the belly over your thighs and adjust the positioning of the arms. Lower your gaze between the knees. And if you can comfortably reach, you might hold onto your feet. You might even extend the legs a little bit further if that suits your back and body. But make sure your shoulders remain at ease, your elbows. With the feet in a deep flexion, breathe out. This is a straight forward bend. No twist here. But you might feel from all the other bends that we've done, providing us with extension, not only into our back line, but maybe also the side line coming across the hip. Being aware of what you can feel within this maybe familiar shape. Paschimottanasana. Staying for 2 more breaths. When you then inhale, lengthen your spine. You can use the hands against the legs and a breath out to raise yourself into sitting. You might remove the rolled up mat or block from underneath. Gather everything that you will need for relaxation. We're almost there. You might even choose to keep a block by the side. And then release your back again onto the mat. Now, my suggestion is a light inversion here. If you don't have a block, you may instead pop some fists underneath the buttocks. If you have a block, you may raise your hips up so the sacrum can rest on the block. If you don't want to use any props at all, and you have a shoulder stand in your practice, you are also free of pain and discomfort around neck and shoulders. You may raise your hips up for a shoulder stand. I will demonstrate from the supported version where you might choose to raise your legs. Whether your fists are under or you're resting on a block, that's up to you. Now twist the legs to one side and breathe out to draw the knees up to a shoulder. As you inhale, straighten the legs, then twist again and out, but draw the knees to the other shoulder. You may choose to continue that movement, the little squeezes down towards the shoulder. When you completed the next round, once to each side, please extend the legs again and let them relax, even soften. Then bend your knees or release your back to the mat if you are in a shoulder stand. If you're resting on a support, step your feet down, leaving your knees bent. Now lifting hips to remove fists or the block from underneath before rolling back down onto the back. Suggestion to return to arms open or cactus arms with the thumbs touching to the ring finger and the middle finger wrapping over the index finger. You may start again with your feet on the floor, or you could start with your knees over your chest, rolling the knees to one side as you breathe out, inhaling to center and exhaling, rolling them to the other side. The same as we practice at the beginning of the class. If it's okay for you to roll the head, that may join in. The mudra assisting with deeper twisting. Now you may choose to draw your knees over to the left. Let the knees come to rest here. The lower knee you might draw a little bit up towards the chest, and you might bring the top foot a little bit behind you. And after a bit of a deeper extension into the legs. If you find it useful for you, you can also grab your back foot and maybe even turn the gaze over to that side for a cattail. Releasing the foot, rolling across to the other side. Lower knee might come a bit further up towards the chest. Upper knee might move a bit backwards, and you could try and take a hold with the left hand of the left foot, maybe even turning your gaze this way. Noticing deeper extensions, especially in the back leg, maybe a sense of openness through the hips. Let go of your foot, center your knees, and then bring your knees one last time to your chest. Give them a good hug and squeeze. If you like, the nose can move to the space between the knees for a ball. And then releasing your upper body down. That option again of rocking across the spine for a bit. I am hoping you are feeling enough at ease to come into relaxation. If that is not the case, you need a stretch or something else. Please do that before you come into stillness. To come into stillness, you may step your feet out mat distance, let your knees drop in to hold to each other. You could place a cushioning under the knees while you extend them, or you could extend the legs out long and let your feet roll out. Let your arms relax, closing the eyes or steadying your gaze. Make sure that you remain reasonably warm, maybe using all the little things to be comfortable in your relaxation. As you do come to rest, and if your mudra felt interesting to you, worth exploring a bit more, you could rest with your mudra in your relaxation pose by placing the thumbs towards your ring finger and wrapping your middle finger over the index fingers. But your arms will be relaxed and slightly away from your body. As you come into rest, you might notice first how the body is slowing down. Allow yourself to explore that sensation. There might be a good amount of warmth spreading through the body. All the energy you used to twist and turn, to find your way through the flow, despite the twists and turns. And as the body becomes still, the fluctuations of the mind become less or more. You could choose now to imagine a path right in front of you that you are going down, exploring the surroundings of this path if you're taking yourself on this walk, noticing what lies on the sides of the path and enjoying the beauty that you might encounter. Before the usual happens, there's a curve, there's a twist, there is a turn. Take them as they come. Have a little look. What are they about? Just going with the flow, acknowledging that we have turns and twists on our paths, in our lives, on our mats. Sometimes worth acknowledging what they are about without getting caught up in it. You might also come across crossings or splits of the paths where you have to choose which way to go. Maybe along this path, you also find a spot that feels safe. It's beautiful and comfortable for you. You could choose to take a seat here and pause. Reflect on how you got there and surrender yourself into the beauty and the stillness of the place in which you are. Many times life follows its natural process. But when it doesn't follow the plan of our mind, we experience the same situation as challenging one. The challenges, however, don't lie in the situation. The real challenge lies with our perception. It is our own idea that separates us from the present reality of life. This exploration of your past might be an encouragement to accept what is happening, to look at it from different points of view, and in the end, to go with the flow. Allowing yourself now to go back to the flow of your breath. To release the mudra if you were holding it. And as you deepen the breaths, you might enjoy a movement of your fingers. Maybe creating larger movements or even finding a stretch. Before you take yourself back into a sitting pose. And if that is right for you, you can even touch the palms of your hands together in front of the chest. Sitting quite heavily on the sitting bones. As we will complete our practice with one chant of Om, followed by 3 shantis for peace, to encourage us to trust the universe and go with the flow. Let's breathe in for the Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Straight forward with a light bow. We extend to each other. Namaste. Now, thank you first of all